All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. It's the girls from MDM, Million Dollar Mission, and it's Carol, Ellie, and Lynn. And you know what we do? The very first thing that we do before we start our hangouts is we give a toast to you for your success and your $1 million mission. So here's cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yes.
All right. So
Good. We should keep toasting.
what's that?
That's good. I said we should keep toasting.
I know. So we're going to talk about a silent bug. And it was so funny, right before we came on live here, Ellie says, what kind of freaking bug are we going to talk about?
We got bugs. Ooh.
Yeah, it kind of gives you the, but maybe that's a good keyword to remember when we, discuss this topic today, because a lot of people are suffering from this silent bug. So I'm going to hand this off to our good old colleague Carol, and she's going to start us off with this tonight's hangout. So glad you're here. Sit back, ask your questions in the comment box below, and enjoy.
Hi. If you hear me coughing or whatever, I'm just getting over a cold, so please excuse me. I do the best I can here. I'm going to do this kind of backwards. What is the bug? Let me just think how I want to say this. All right. Well, my question is, why do we play so small? Why do we diminish ourselves so much? The process of doing that, the result of doing that, to my way of thinking, is the bug. So, what is that all about? We come into this world as babies. Ta-da! The world is all about us. Take care of me, and I am ultimately the greatest power in the world, and I can do anything. So where does that all go? Unfortunately, I believe that gets socialized out of us. And it may be well-intentioned to begin with. Maybe parents who don't want us to get burnt, so to speak, don't want us to get disappointed. Might be teachers who want us to behave. Might be religious authorities who want us to remain compliant with what they want us to do. Might be politicians and the legal system, same reason, wants us to be compliant. But whatever, it seems to get socialized out of us, so that, it's funny, I just read a comment on one of my blogs today from somebody else, and she said that she's been spending her life reconnecting with that power. So isn't that weird? I mean, we're born with this power. It's taken away from us, taken out of us, and then we spend the rest of our lives trying to find it again, trying to get it back again, trying to reclaim it. What an insane, I don't even know, is that a cycle? Whatever that is, up and down, up and down. How crazy is that? So when I see parents, matter of fact, we were just talking about that before we came live. When I see parents who are allowing their kids to make their own decisions, sure, you might make some suggestions or whatever, with the understanding that, you're going to do what you want to do, and I support you in that. And let the kids make their own decisions and find their way through life and figure out, what works for them, what doesn't, and where their power is, where their creativity is, etc., etc. I applaud those people, and I wish everyone would have parents like that. I remember growing up, I had, to me, they were good parents to me. Not so much to each other, but they were good to me. And I know they loved me. But my mother used to say to me all the time, be careful of this, be careful of that, be careful of the next thing. That might not be a good thing for you to do. And, she didn't mean any harm by it, but it made me fearful, and I was sheltered, and I had to break out of that, and I'm still working on that too, like my friend who spoke on my blog today. So I have some more things to say, but let me kick it off with that and see where it goes. See what you two folks have to say.
Am I next? I forgot. I think so. Yeah, but so I'm Ellie Walsh. You all know who we are, right? If you don't know who we are, I'm Ellie Walsh. I'm in upstate New York. That's Carol who just spoke. She's on the other end of the house here, my partner and spouse. And Lynn Brown in California, she'll tell you who she is. I just realized not everybody knows who we are. But so, I thought you were going to start with that quote. I'm going to assume you're going to eventually say that quote, Carol. Okay, so I won't go there right now. But, little children know they're special. They just do. Just go and ask them. They will tell you when they're 2 and 3 years old. Yes, I'm special, and they believe they're special, and they're right. And then we get people who say things as you grow up. What do you think, you're special? Okay. And it's like there's this message that I got, and in the community I grew up in, it has a lot to do with the community you grew up in. It really does. And the era you grew up in. But, I mean, in the community I grew up in, they were more or less tempering you, or training you, okay? Training you to go out there in the world, And so I don't believe we lose it. It's still there because we all still have that inner kid. But we swallow it, we smother it, we start to doubt ourselves, even what Carol was saying. I be careful, and my mother used to always say, I worry about you. Now, she said, I worry about you, okay? The way I understood that, my definition of that was, well, I must be, like, not so good at that, or a little dumb, or, like, I need to be scared of because I'm not good enough. Now, she didn't say that. So everybody's interpretation and your perception of what's being said to you and how you swallow that and digest it is different. Now, my mother and I, years later, had big conversations over this. I mean, first of all, I finally realized when my mother said, I worry about you, here's what that meant. I love you. So that wasn't said as much in my house as I worry about you. That's interesting, One of the other things is, she'd always tell me how good somebody else was doing. I mean, when I came home with a report card like that had, 5 A's and a B+. And you know what she would say? Why isn't that an A? Now, my eventual swallowing of that was, screw this crap. Screw it. I ain't good enough anyways. And that's not what she was saying. And then years later, my brother and sister and I, we've had conversations, and then I've spoken to my mother, and her thing was, oh, well, I didn't want to give you a big head because then you'd stop trying. And then what we did find out is she went and told all the neighbors how freaking wonderful and smart and marvelous her children were. But she wouldn't say it to us. All right? So you find that out, but you already have this garbage over here. And so, for me, that bug is that mindset of, can I really do something? Am I really smart enough? Will it work out for me? And it's silent because because you're saying to yourself, if I'm starting an online business, in this business, you're saying, well, those people can do it, I'm going to do this. And then it's maybe not moving along like you've expected it to move along. And what we don't realize is there very well can be that silent bug sitting back there saying, well, you really can't do this. Well, you can't do it as good as that person. And if you've got that in your mindset, you don't realize how much that dictates your life. We don't realize how much our lives are dictated by our mindset, by our belief systems. But it is. So that has to be eradicated. And that's why we talk a lot here, and in the business we're in, the company we're with, they talk a lot about reading. Because the more you're reading about personal development and about business books and about other people who have accomplished things, the more you're able to start to change that. The more you are hanging out with people like this that are doing the same in that like-minded group, that are doing things that you're doing, you start to realize, oh, I'm not any different than them. And people say to you, oh, crap, you did that really good. Now you start building a different mindset. So to me, that bug is old beliefs that were never really warranted. They weren't ever really true. We just picked up, I don't even know if it was other people's opinions. We grabbed a perception, a definition from what other people said to us. It doesn't even mean that they meant it that way, you know. And then that idea of, and I know my parents anyways, always trying to protect me. So don't dream too high, because they don't want, because you know what, it's true, the higher you go, the further you can fall. So I break up and get up and do it again. Because you would. If you went up that high, you'd be able to go up again, all right? But instead, they're like, no, stay over here. You know, and that's the era my parents grew up in. You know, is they wanted you, they grew up in the Depression, you know, so they wanted you to just kind of stay here and just kind of get by. And kind of get by never sat well with me. I was like, ooh, how boring. I don't want to do that. So that's my story right now on bugs. Now I'm getting itchy talking about bugs. What do you think, Lynn?
You're getting me itchy now, too. I'm looking all over my office here, seeing if there's any bugs on the walls. Yeah, this is a good topic because, you know, I like what Carol mentioned about reconnecting our power and our dreams and our creativity because, gosh, isn't that true? When we were little kids, like Ellie says, you know, I mean, we dreamed. You know, I remember laying out on the front grass with, you know, my friends. We'd look up at the clouds and, you know, we would say what the clouds look like, and then we'd start talking about what do you want to be when you grow up, and all these dreams that you talk about, right? And it's true. It's the generations, you know, before us, which are parents, right, and their friends and their surrounding circles, depending on where that falls. That all plays, you know, a big, huge role in that. And then, of course, we're all individuals, so we'll find our little, you know, niche in life or whatever that is. But yeah, it's something that we have to figure this out. But what I find interesting is that, you know, I feel like we're a huge generation. I mean, like, we are a mixture of people, you know, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know what I mean? Maybe not the 80s, but and we're marching through life. And now we're going through this cycle of awareness and finding out, hey, you know what? Remember what we dreamed about when we were kids? Remember we were so excited and we just wanted to do what we wanted to do? Well, it's a choice now. It's a choice because this wonderful internet, this one powerful technology that all our generations created, right, is forming that for all of us. And that's what I think is pretty darn cool. And then also, I'm not sure if it was, I think it was Ellie that mentioned about teachers, you know, the teachers that, you know, when we were growing up, wanted to put you in a box, wanted to keep you in certain places. Oh, no, you don't want to learn that, you need to do this, or no, you don't want to think that, you want to, you know, think that. And it reminds me of our son when he was going through first grade. And this teacher, she was a first grade teacher, so brand new. And we were in the first semester. So first year teacher, first grade, first semester, right? And our son, his first grade, you know what I mean, experience. So when the semester came to an end. We get a phone call the night before the report cards come out. And this woman is telling me that our son, oh, his citizenship is just not good. We're going to have to fail him. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Well, he's disruptive in class, and he talks out loud, and, you know, he disrupts other kids. And I said, well, when were you going to let us know about this? If he was so disruptive, why wouldn't you put a note in his backpack and all this kind of stuff? And some of you might relate to this, right? So she said, well, you know, now we know, you know. And she goes, you know, I have boys too. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean, you know? So Denny and I, my husband and I, we didn't sit well with that. So we marched into the school the next morning, and we met with the principal. And we sat down with him, and we, you know, went over what she was telling me on the phone. And we said, look, we need to know specifics of what he's being disruptive about and all this kind of thing. Come to find out, his disruptions, all he was doing, because we asked him, you know, we sat him down and asked him, he said, well, I get done really fast, and I want to help the other kids because they, you know, they're having a hard time. He was trying to help. That's what he was trying to do. And so the teacher took that as disruptive and put him in this like corner, and he had to have time out and all this kind of stuff. So imagine a young mind like that developing with that kind of, you know, guidance or non-guidance, right? And absolutely no support of bringing in parents and to speak with the child to see where everything's going. So that's where it starts from. It does start from, you know, the elders, the people, you know, before us and all that kind of thing. So needless to say, you know, he didn't fail. The principal said no, the lowest grade you can give him is a C, which she did. And that's the only C he's ever gotten in his life. He's been practically all A's, couple B's, you know. But at any rate, it brings that to memory for me because that's powerful. You know, if you're a single parent, if you're, you know, a single dad or single mom, there's no excuse for, you know, calling your kid out for no particular reason. Find out what they're thinking, because it's amazing what kids think about, you know. Parents, you know, parents and anyone that's raising kids, even if you're what was the program we were part of, Big Brothers Big Sisters, okay? Even being, you know, I can't think of the word, shoot, I can't think of the word, but anyway, you want to make sure that you're communicating and that you're understanding where, you know, where are these kids, or where is your brain thinking? Are you going back to those, you know, those days where you were being brought up? And like Ellie said, you know, her mom was saying, I'm worried about you. You know, and then you're thinking about that. So now in your adult life, you're holding yourself back. You're holding yourself back. And so many people get in this industry, and they're either, they either tell their friends or families, or they don't. But the people that do, what do family and friends say? You're doing that thing? You know, they think it's like the worst thing that you could do in your life, right? When it's like, all it is a business. I'm starting a business, you know. Put some brick and mortar around it, and then they're like, oh, you're starting a business. Isn't that nice? Then they're totally different. It just doesn't make sense. So when we can talk about this and bring this, you know, out in the open, we can squash that bug and become the people that we really want to become the person you want to be, and live the life that you really want to live. And I'm telling you, I could never talk like this 2 years ago. Inside this community, with people like, you know, Carol and Ellie, you just develop into a person that you start learning more about yourself, and you start surrounding yourself with like minds. So that, you know, I think Ellie or Carol brought that up. That is so, so important. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but I just had to get into that one story about my son because it really brought memories back to that. And I hope parents listening in, or single moms and dads, or even anybody that, you know, associates with kids, you know, nieces, nephews, all that kind of thing, if they do something, ask them first. Why did you throw that? You know what I mean? See where their mind is at first. let them express themselves, and then find out. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. What do you think, Carol?
I think that's one great 2 cents that you just put in. Excellent, excellent perspective. Yes, I spoke about first of all, talking about a bug, a mosquito bit me right in the middle of my forehead here, and it's itchy. But at any rate, I spoke about the bug, the hidden bug being in terms of results of the way things were socialized out of us. Ellie spoke about it in terms of beliefs, and I interpreted your speaking about it, Lynn, in terms of behaviors. All ending up in the same basket as I see it. But yes, Ellie said, did I want to make a couple of quotes here, quote a couple of quotes, and I do. One is from Marianne Williamson. I heard this the first time, maybe about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when she was running for office out there in California. And she must have said this years ago, but I just wasn't aware of it. She said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And boy, did that hit home with me. And then someone else in this community, Erica, mentioned on a video one day this week, she was quoting from The War of Art, that book by Stephen Pressfield. And he said, we have fear of following our heart. The master of all fears is the fear that we will succeed, that we can access the powers that we know we truly possess. Same thing, different words in the way I interpret it. And the reason that hit me so hard is I always tended to think of it in terms of the negative, like, I'm afraid of what I don't know. I'm afraid of, not being able to do this, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, what if I recognize the fact that I can do that and the responsibility that comes along with that, and the maybe not knowing yet, how to express that. Wow, that could be scary, especially if you're not encouraged in those directions. So that I could really see what they meant by that. It rang a bell with me. Again, today I get great comments on the blogs, and I love reading them. Somebody else wrote on the blog. Wait, it just went out of my head. Let me think what the heck he said. Talking about the same thing. He was saying, and this hit home with me too. It's instead of being fearful of our power and being fearful of how in other words, being fearful of the focus on myself. How am I going to live up to this power? How am I going to express this power? How am I going to be creative with this power? Go around that fear. I don't necessarily believe in breaking through things. I guess sometimes it works for people, but I could see myself going right around that fear by putting the focus on other people rather than myself. Taking it off myself and put it on other people and see, how can this benefit other people? How can I help other people? What is it that they need? And to me, whoa, that just took a whole load off my shoulders and made it all feasible and more, I want to say palatable, but that's not quite the right word, but I think you probably get what I mean. So, and then I remembered back to something else my mother said. I guess she gave me some good stuff too. I can't blame you for a lot of stuff, Mom. But she said, sometimes when you're worried, I used to be shy. Oh, I still am sometimes. But she used to say, don't think about what other people are thinking about you, because probably they're not even thinking about you. They're busy thinking about themselves. Yeah, you're probably right. So, all right, with that, let me pass it along.
Well, so I'm going to say I don't agree. She's waiting for me here because I don't agree with those statements. I know Marianne Williamson said it, and I love her. Okay, and this other quote that you came up with, and I think fear is the wrong word. I don't believe we're afraid of being our greatness, because who we really, really are, is total greatness. It is. It's who we are. You can get on Facebook and argue with me if you want. I have somebody, somebody's like, oh, I believe all human beings are great. I believe that not all human beings live up to being great, but I believe we come in here and that we're all connected and that we're of a phenomenal power universe, whatever you want to call it. I won't get into all of that. So I don't believe, if you fear it, it's not really you, it's not the innately you. It goes back to freaking mindset. Okay, if you fear being great, it's because somebody kept saying, don't do that because something might happen, or I worry about you, or, okay, and it's that old crap that's laying back there. Again, I don't want to, it is crap, but it wasn't given to you as crap. It was actually given to you probably as loving advice. And so it's that what's playing. But I don't believe that anybody is really afraid of stepping into. I think that's why we're here. We're here to do that. We're here for the journey of doing that. And this is part of the journey. It's this unraveling. It's living in this environment. And then, and then that expansion of unraveling, really, from the generation before. So I don't believe, sorry, either one of those people. I would love to have a one-on-one real conversation. I can see when you would use the word fear because you're running on somethingness, but there's that level beyond that is not afraid of that. There's that level of who we really are, that's what you're here for. You're here to live the greatest expansion of you within this body in this lifetime. Now, some people's is going to be higher and further and in different degrees. So I don't like the word, because here's why I don't like the quote. Then people fall back on that bull crap. So that's why I really don't like it. Instead of, it's harder to take personal responsibility for fear, okay? Because it's like, you want to know what? I'm afraid of heights. Like, heights as far as, like, I couldn't go up on a 20-story building, okay, and walk the edge. I couldn't do it. I would freaking pass out, okay? I swear to God, I'm afraid of heights. Is that because I feel inadequate on them? Probably. Although they do say that's one fear we're actually born with, is fear of falling. So, but I'm afraid of that. So, so it's not about like saying I'm going to change that. I don't even give a crap, okay? I'm just not going to walk on the ledge on buildings 20, flights up, or not even, I ain't even going on our roof, all right? I did once. I had to tie myself up, and oh my God, but whatever. So I did it, but I think when you use that word fear, you don't take that responsibility of saying, okay, I got something going on here, and I need to look at it. And I can find the way to change it instead of breakthrough. I don't like those analogies, breakthrough, fear. And to me, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It works for other people, but to me, it doesn't work. Instead of being able to say, I can take responsibility for this. All right, if I'm feeling like, ooh, because you want to know what? If you step into the greatness of who you are, your life is going to change. That's true. All right. When you do goal work, a lot of people will have you do, okay, and what is, what's going to change in your life, and what's like going to be, I can't think of the word now. We're all losing words today. We probably didn't drink enough. That's why when we were. Like what's going to be like, upset in your life. by reaching that goal. Because there's going to be good stuff, and there's going to be stuff that's going to be upset. And a lot of times that's people in your life. It's friends in your life. All right, or it's, you know, it's saying, you know, like, oh, they'll be mad at me or what have you. So there's, I can see like saying that. All right, if I move up here, this is going to change. But again, you know, I can still take personal responsibility for it. I'm sorry, I don't like the word fear. That's it. That's not the bug.
Okay, I was trying to unmute. I don't know what's wrong with this thing, but I kind of know, you know, what you're talking about there, Ellie, or where you're coming from. So when I hear fear, the word fear, I associate it with not knowing. You know, it's an unknown, and so people will use it as an excuse, and especially in success. We don't know if we're going to be successful. I mean, truly, we do not know if we're going to be successful. We want to be. We're working towards that and all that kind of thing. So I know people use that word fear because it's an unknown. And I've said this before. I believe that many of us, even me, we want to see the end before we begin. You know, and I've said this over and over again because if you can think about it that way and stop doing that, then I think it'll take fear away and will open the door to whatever your goals are. In fact, you might even be more clear on the goals that you want to attain, and you have to set stepping stone goals, not just I want $1 million, right? We're on $1 million mission. I mean, we're on this journey together. So, you know, there is the fear, and I believe it's because of the unknown, but don't make that an excuse. And then don't try to see the end before you even begin. You have to dig in. You know, Paul Hutchings talks about the oak tree. And we had a huge oak tree fall down in our yard, almost hit our house, literally almost 10 feet away. And I love that oak tree. I mean, I look at it every morning, you know, and every day. And it's true, you have to start with the roots. You know, you've got to dig in, right? And then that oak tree grows, but man, it grows slow. But you can nurture it and maybe, you know, grow it more. And then you branch out and the leaves and everything is everything that you're succeeding in all your goals and everything else. So if you look at it and you're saying to yourself today that, oh, I'm fearful that, you know, I won't have success, it might be an excuse. And then maybe you're looking at the end before you even begin. So start there first. And you know, Kevin Souza in our back office, we have an Inner Circle audio library that is the bomb. And I listened to that today. It was real short. It was, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that. And he talked about goal setting. And I have to tell you something. I hate goal setting. I mean, I really do. But it is something that I have been doing over the last 2 years, and it does help. It really does help. But like he said, if you don't know the goal, then how in the world are you going to get to the destination? You know, I mean, it makes total sense, right? So I see where you're going with that, Ellie, as far as the fear, you know, thing. But then I also understand, you know, the quote, which most people would relate to because we relate fear, I believe, as an excuse rather than an ultimate, like, oh, I'm going to fall off the cliff, you know, kind of fear. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are fearful to do their first video. A lot of people, I've got team members, there's no way they would come on this Hangout. Why? Because there's a camera. They'll come on here if they don't have to be on camera. Come on, folks. You know, it's becoming this kind of a world where we have to make connections with folks. So if there is a silent bug, it definitely is inside you that you have to squash and just move forward. You just have to take the bull by the horns and just go for it. So hopefully our Hangout, you know, helps you to feel that motivation, that inspiration to, you know, leave tonight and say, yeah, we're going to do this. Right, Carol?
Right on. You know, I'm just thinking, I really don't disagree with what you're saying, Ellie, and I think you kind of hinged it together, Lynn. What I'm thinking is what we're saying might be at different points along the continuum towards personal development, towards development. And yes, I did say that. Well, I believe I used the word fear of responsibility, taking responsibility for our power, and you used the word belief, Ellie. And again, they're not the same words, but I think they come at different points along the journey. I don't know. That's the way I see it. But that said, I just dropped my notes. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, I have to.
Folks, we call that a pattern interrupt when you do your videos. That's exactly what you want to do. Good job, Carol.
Thank you. A couple other questions I have along these lines in looking for this hidden bug, and that is, I wondered, do we have any concerns about what we're leaving behind as we step into our power? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe we're happy to move along. Maybe there's some people that we see that we'd be leaving behind and we're not comfortable doing that. And also, does our belief in ourselves of being not perfect, is that by chance a roadblock? And again, that relates to belief. Is that a roadblock to continuing along on our journey towards stepping into our power and our awesomeness? So, are we concerned about what we might be leaving behind? And do we think about we're not perfect? Well, we're not good enough, I guess. That goes back to that thing, we're not good enough. Oh, I don't know. What do you think, Ellie?
Well, so if you don't believe you're good enough, okay, then you have this so-called fear. It's not fear, though. Look, the word fear is overused as far as I'm concerned, all right? This is semantics of what we're talking about, too. We're talking about semantics. I have a definition of fear. I think the word fear is just thrown about, all right, today. And I'm sorry, I hear it a lot in the personal development field, and it's used as a freaking excuse. Sorry. I know people are going to beat up on me on this one, but that's okay. I'm not afraid. Here's why, okay? If you're standing on a highway in the yellow line and a truck is barreling down, okay, you should freaking be afraid. You should be afraid, and you should freaking run, okay? Hey, that's it. But to me, that's fear. All right, or walking on a ledge, especially if you have my balance. Maybe you're well balanced, and some people are like, oh, I could walk on a ledge anywhere. Cool, okay, but I should not walk on a ledge high in the sky. I should be afraid. That's real fear. All right, you know, if something's falling, or that tree is falling at you, you should be afraid. But then we use this word fear for even getting in front of a camera. Look it's uncomfortable. But I think fear is too powerful of a word. It's overused, and when we use this powerful word that we also use about be afraid because the truck is coming, all right, and we use it for getting on a camera, we actually give that scenario as much power, getting on a camera, as that damn truck that's barreling down, doing 90 miles an hour. We're giving that scenario, that situation, as much power. So I have a big thing about the word fear, how it's overused within this society. I understand people go, well, my heart's pounding and I'm that uncomfortable, but it's still, I promise you, when you see that truck coming, your damn heart's going to pound more, all right? It just is. And maybe that's why your heart pounds, okay? Because we use this word, fear, with getting on a camera or doing something different or doing something new. I have been uncomfortable in my life many, many times doing things that, you know, I was like, ooh, I just didn't really want to do it. I had never done it before, even confronting people. You know, and you go, well, was your heart pounding? Yeah, probably it was, you know, but I just don't want to give situations, we just give our power away. Even what you're talking about, Carol, like, oh my God, you know, are we thinking about what we're leaving? As far as I'm concerned, if we're all stepping up and above into success and into people like this who can honor and uplift each other, then we're leaving something absolutely fabulous, great. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to even say this. All right, Lynn was talking before, well, we don't know that we'll be successful. That's bullcrap. You're successful, okay? Oh, it might not be the so-called money goal you hit yet, okay? But if you're doing new things in your life and you're stepping out and stepping up and expanding, you're successful today, right here, right now. You're watching this, you're participating in this, you're watching the replay of this, you are successful. It's another word I don't like, so because of the way it's used and underused. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox now because I gave much more than 2 cents.
Okay, well, so I don't know now what words to use, so. But I do like power, and I do like the empower. I like the word empower yourself because I think it all brings it back to our personal responsibility. But we don't learn that at a young age. You know, we don't learn that. That's something we grow into, and we fall and stumble and figure things out as we make mistakes in our lives. And some may be big mistakes, and some may be, you know, little mistakes. It doesn't matter. So I can see about reconnecting with our power and our dreams and our creativity. I'm going to go into creativity because I think that's really a big word that a lot of people are leaving out of their life. Creativity. We all are creative human beings. We all are an artist, right? We have an artist inside of us. And I'm not talking about, you know, that you can paint and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm talking about is that your unique ability to communicate, to think, and to dream and to have the things that you really want in life. And I think a lot of people squash that because, you know, we've already you know, been around the block on this one, that, you know, from you know, being kids and adults and teachers and, you know, maybe even colleagues and people that you used to work with, or friends, you know, even friends and relatives and things like that, that poo-poo what you do or how you think and all this kind of thing. So I believe that is one area that a lot of us could, you know, reflect on, is our creativity, and bring more of that out. Start thinking about, you know, you and your creative you. You know what I mean? And then that creates this different, unique person, and that's how people will start connecting with you. That's what's going to build the success. That's what's going to, you're not even going to bring fear into it, because it's about you. It's all about your, you know, your inner self. So I'm going to throw that out there to Carol.
Excuse me. I caught it. Yeah, I was just saying maybe we should use sign language, since semantics seems to be an issue here. I love your definition of creativity, and I hope you write a blog about that. I'd love to read that. Yeah, I really like that idea about creativity, because I'm going to go back a little over 10 years ago. My previous partner passed away after a long-term relationship, and I started on this personal development journey thanks to Ellie. She really got me started going on it. And I started listening to tapes and what have you, and they talked about creativity. And I started thinking, holy crap, I got to be creative. I can't draw. I can't make a new organization. I don't know how to do that. How am I going to be creative? And that plagued me. I kept thinking about it, and that's why I really like what you just said. But that aside, that's sort of on a little tangent here. Sorry about that. I just heard lately again about one of our colleagues who was with us out in Vegas. His little girl, who I don't know exactly how old she is. She must be about 3, 4. I don't think she's reading yet. But every night when she goes to bed and he reads to her, he doesn't read, from the little golden book. She wants him to read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I cracked up when I heard that. And she repeats back a couple of words. She at this point probably doesn't know what they mean, but how do I know that? Maybe she does. And I love it. I just love how these children of our colleagues are growing up in this environment of creativity. I know other people who have discussed this with us. They have 2 teenagers, and for the summer, the kids they have a reading list for themselves, and it's not The Catcher in the Rye and that kind of stuff. It's all personal development books that they're reading, and e-commerce and how to start a business and that kind of stuff. And I love it. I just love it because I was a slave for so long in the working for somebody else and not even realizing, that's how stupid I was, not even realizing what a slave I was and how I was working for somebody else to get rich. Yeah, I just love your idea of creativity. Please write a blog on that. And it relates back to these stories that I hear from our colleagues about how they're raising their children. And those are the 2 that come to my mind right now, but I know I've heard others too, and I just love it. I love seeing these kids being exposed to new ideas, fresh ideas that other kids, their friends, probably don't know what the heck they're talking about, but doesn't matter. Let them develop what they're learning. So I'm going to pass this along.
How cool is that? Little kids reading Think and Grow Rich, and reading personal development books. I mean, I just love that. Because they won't have as many, so many of our beliefs are limiting. And the older you are, the more entrenched they are. So if you're starting this when you're young, and you're being exposed to this when you're young, you're not going to have this. Everybody has some kind of stuff. I think that's part of living in society, and I think we came here to do this, to keep figuring this out, because without figuring it out, there is no expansion. So, and the universe is going to expand, and I think we come to be a part of that, and actually to increase it, especially people like we're talking about here. We're increasing it because we get together and we're doing all these different things. I went to Catholic school, and they didn't even, I think they had an art class. Okay, they weren't big on that. I know my friends in public school did a lot more arts and crafts stuff than I did. And I don't think I failed it, but I don't think I did so good. Like, I was lucky if I could draw stick people. And then when I moved up here, I was 30, and I was in a new phase in my life, and I was already starting on this personal development journey. I was probably 2 or 3 years into it, and I already had people around me that were supporting me, and I decided I wanted to be a woodworker. here's the person who was kind of not a creative. And I was basically told you don't have a creative bone in your body. My father actually could draw, all right, and I basically couldn't. And I ended up being a wood carver, and I carved faces in driftwood. So taught myself how to do that, you know. And then years later, and and then if people used to say, who's the artist? I couldn't even handle that. You see, from that belief of I wasn't creative, people would say, who's the artist? You know, because I used to go to do shows and sell the stuff. I had to like leave. Gail had to talk to the people because I would get all screwed up if they would call me an artist. Because like I don't know, I wasn't formally trained, and I thought like I was cheating. Please, when you think of some of the stuff that we run on, you know, and then years later I taught myself in '96, got on computers and taught myself how to create web pages. So, you know, we don't even realize what we can do, and I did even do it in that face of, you know, what they told me I couldn't do. Here's my last thing I'm going to say tonight. The only reason that you're not doing something in your life that you want to, and you don't have something in your life that you want, is because you don't yet have a neural pathway to it. That's all I'm going to say. It's that simple, though. It's not about your training, who you were when you were little, what you did, what you didn't do. The only reason you don't have something that you want, or you're not doing something that you say you want to do, is because you don't yet have a neural pathway to it. That yet is a tip. My 2 sentences over.
Well, that's interesting. So I mean, I don't know how to follow up with that. That was probably her good last statement. And Ellie's, she's the gal that you know, closes us out with, you know, click the button and all this kind of stuff. So, but you know, one last word for me, because I'm attracted to the subject that we're talking about tonight, about the reconnecting our power. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here tonight, is if you go away tonight, start thinking about that. Your power. And what does that mean to you? And how is that going to help you to connect, reconnect, so to speak, especially your dreams and your creativity and your power to be the person that you want to be. That's as simple as it can be, and hopefully that was the, you know, one of the takeaways that, you know, you get from this hangout tonight. So that's all I have.
And I'll just throw in something else here. It's not really something else. It's kind of bringing that together, and that is that, yeah, I think where we are today does relate back to, you know, where we came from. But we don't have to stay there. And both what you said, Lynn, reconnecting to our power, best way of exterminating those hidden bugs. And how do we do that? By creating those new neural pathways. So a meshing of the two.
And how to do that, okay, is by reading all the different books we've talked about so many times here, personal development books, business books. It is by getting involved with people like us here. So if you're here live or you're here watching the replay and somebody sent you here, you know, get back to that person or click that button. If you came from our site or Lynn's site, click that button and join us. If you want to know how you can, this is not, it is about business, okay? But it's about creating or stepping into, reconnecting, like Lynn said, your power to who you really are, and being able to create an income and have a business doing that, and doing it with like-minded people, with a community that is consistently here to support and honor you. So if that's interesting to you, click that button, get back to the person who invited you here. We'll be back next Tuesday. And until then, we need to toast out.
We need to toast it out. Here we go to everybody's success.
Salud.
Cheers, salute. All right, I got a drink, and then we're going to click this button. I'm going to drink all of this.
I love the
Bye,
pink.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you next week.